Hey guys, this is Mel, and I am back to talk about the Vampire Diaries episode 808 titled We Have History Together, which premiered Friday, January 13th, 2017 on the CW. And guys, this pretty much marks the first half of the final season having all aired now. So with that said, guys, little quick reminder, since it is the new year, I'm doing the different, kind of cutting out of one segment, I should say, because of that. Huge spoiler alert. I'm going to try to avoid summarizing the episode because of this cut, but huge spoiler alert because I'm hoping you've seen the episode before if you watch this video. So there's that. Also, you are getting my genuine thoughts about the episode itself after I watched the episode for the first time. I only own these thoughts, theories, opinions, and predictions I make after seeing the episode. Those are the only things I own. I'm not making this for any money. This is just for fun. Great way to keep track of everything, and it's just a great way to share what I perceive from the episode. So with that said, guys, let's start with the 10-minute clock. And let's begin with a shortened version of something new we learned in this episode. So, pretty much the episode titled, quote, We Have History Together, comes from Elena said to Stefan in the series premiere when they're introducing each other in the cemetery. This is actually directed, this episode, by Ian Somerhalder, aka Damon. So, quick little fun little thing to have a cast member directing an episode. It's always interesting seeing how they do it. Anyways, so quickly though, the story, I separated into two different stories happening in this episode. First one was dealing with Stefan and Damon finding souls for Kate. This led us to the introduction of Tara, a young doctor who really resembles Elena in a lot of ways. Now, story 2 dealt with the history of Mystic Falls Charter Bell. We had Sybil, Caroline, Matt, Peter Maxwell, and Dorian, who is Alarc's intern, who is now in the know of all the sirens and supernatural stuff that's going on. So they deal with this Mystic Falls Charter Bell. Sybil mentions 1790 with some history lesson behind all that. We don't see actually any flashbacks for it though, but we do learn about the Maxwell family, who were the real founders of Mystic Falls. Oh, they were run out because of the so-called founders were pretty much bought the title and everything. So Harvey Maxwell is actually the connection. He created the original Charter Bell, which is Sybil calls the Witch's Bell, and he's the one who lured Sybil and Celine into the vault back in 1790, and he pretty much sacrificed himself to do that. Now, Witch's Bell, combined with the staff of Arcadius, aka the tuning fork, is meant to create a weapon. We also found out that the Maxwell family heirloom that Damon found, which was like this metal ball thing, plus the staff of Arcadius, the tuning fork, create a clapper together, which is meant to be the hammer that swings inside of the Charter Bell. And the weapon is supposed to be this amplified sound that's supposed to affect the sirens and Arcadius. Theoretically, that's what they've discovered in this episode. Also, we find out that there's a bunch of writings from Dalton St. John back in 1883, usually focused on Celine. Some tidbits, though, from that, guys, is that we know that Bonnie and Enzo are in Paris with the ancient tuning fork that is the staff of Arcadius, so they aren't seen in the episode. We also know that Alaric is in hiding with the twins, and he's trying to stay away from the sirens' radars, so he's not shown, or the twins aren't shown at all in the episode. They're just mentioned like that. And we see the return of Ripper Stefan. He kind of tried to be in control of his bloodlust, and that kind of went sideways. So there's that. So what was the most shocking moment of the episode? For me, it probably has to be the fact of just seeing the Salvatores creating these different scenarios to prove if a soul is meant for Kate or not, especially with what they did with Tara. Mainly it was Stefan that was in the lead for that, trying to push, while Damon was trying to go for like, oh, maybe she's just good and everything, but unwillingly having to play a part in Stefan's charade. So it was just really shocking to see the parts they played in their scenarios. But let's move on to top 3 favorite moments. For me, the first one definitely has to be Damon and Stefan. The thing about me for these two is that this is the first time we're seeing them both without their humanity switches on. Both of them working together while in this situation. So it was really interesting to me because this is what I wanted to see. Yes, it's great to see Damon and Stefan being good and working together, but I wanted to see them be evil, to be vampires and working together. Because we also have to remember that when the series started, everyone knew who the Salvatores were. Everyone heard about the Salvatore brothers. And it could be because of their connection to Catherine, but every vampire knew the Salvatore name. So it always had me wondering, well, they had certain reputations to them. So Damon had one reputation, Stefan had a reputation for the Ripper of Monterey, and also other things that happened. But I wanted to see what it would have been like to have the reputation of Damon that the vampire community knew, and then Stefan's reputation that the vampire community knew, and have them show us why it was that they were known by name. Why everyone knows who the originals were. Everyone knew who Catherine Pierce or Katerina Petrova was, and everyone knew who Damon and Stefan were, and yet we never knew why. So I really like that we still we got glimpses of why that could have been the case. More so with Stefan, because Damon was kind of resisting, though he didn't know why he was resisting, essentially. But it was just great to see the vampire roots behind it, because sometimes you kind of forget that they were vampires. Or they're almost 200 years old worth of vampires. So there's that. I'll move on. My next favorite moment has to be the fact that we got to learn more about this mystical weapon. My understanding, as I've stated earlier, is that there's 3 parts to it, believing that the Maxwell family heirloom, which is the metal ball that I mentioned that Damon found in Peter's garage. I think Damon still has it, and he's the only one who knows that he has it. Also, the tuning fork, Staff of Arcadius, part number 2, is with Bonnie and Enzo in Paris, so we know that part. And then the part that Sybil was looking for, the part that supposedly Celine found and kept for herself after she cleaned out Caroline's garage. I think it's the actual bell shape they were looking for. I think that was the piece that Peter ended up throwing into the water by Rickory Bridge. The huge bell piece, although I don't know how Celine was able to sneak that out of the house without anyone noticing. But I think those are the 3 pieces. So if that's the case, then we kind of know where they are, like their location-wise, or who they're with at least. But there's that, and I really want to see this thing put together and just see how it's going to work, because we know that Celine and Sybil react to just the ringing of the Staff of Arcadius. We know that Bonnie can hear it. We know that the twins can hear it. But to what scale are they going to be affected once the whole bell is going to be constructed is what I'm interested in seeing. Hopefully it's not going to be like, well, if you hurt them, if you hurt the sirens, you're also going to hurt every witch you knew. But we'll have to wait and see for that. Third favorite moment I liked was the fact that we got to learn more about Matt's family legacy, which he wasn't even aware of. So it was just great to see that he even had a huge founding connection through his father from Mystic Falls, since he even stated that throughout his whole life, all of his friends had a legacy to learn that connected to the very founding of the town, except for him. So we always felt like an outsider. So it was great to see Matt just, even though he was mad at Peter and everything for what he's done in the abandonment issues and all that, it was just great to see that Matt finally got to learn that about his family. Moving on to top 3 peeved moments. I guess I'd have to say it has to be the fact that Damon was being an obstacle against Stefan. Only because I wanted to see both of them actually relishing in having no humanity. I kind of want to see the Damon that we saw at the very beginning of the season with him working with Enzo, and have that Damon working with the no humanity Stefan, just to see what it would look like. You kind of see it in the scene where they're in that group therapy session, but I would have liked to see more of it. But it was kind of interesting to see Damon kind of being that obstacle to Stefan. But anyways, what will I remember most when I look back on this episode? The fact that we got both Salvatores being quote-unquote evil together. So there is that. But I only had one random question, so let's move on to that. It's kind of been answered, but we know that Damon took the Maxwell family heirloom back in 804. Is that what Sybil was looking for, or is it another part she's looking for? I think it's I think it's 2 parts that we're talking about here, but throughout the whole episode when I was watching it, I kind of thought it was the same thing she was looking for. The sphere thingy. I only had to like wait for a few quotes and a few scenes to show up about that, about those pieces in order to figure out. But what do you guys think? Do you think there's more than 3 pieces to the weapon? Let me know in the comments down below. But that's it for questions. Let's move to predictions though very quickly because I got less than a minute left. But based off the promo for 809, we get the Miss Mystic Falls pageant again. Last seen in episode 407. So there's that. We see Damon and Stefan returning for the pageant, but we also see Damon telling Caroline about Ripper Stefan's return. We see Stefan telling Sybil about the pageant being the start of Delana. And then we also see Damon thinking he's seeing Elena everywhere before he attacks Sybil, who is actually who he's looking at. But based off the synopsis, though, for 809, it reads that Stefan and David return to Mystic Falls at Sybil's request, as she is still in search of the historical artifact. Bonnie returns from Paris wearing a vial of Enzo's blood, making Caroline wonder if she will become a vampire. Stefan, Damon, Caroline, Bonnie, Enzo all attend the Miss Mystic Falls pageant, where Sybil continues to taunt Damon with memories of Elena. And there's the timer. So, with all that said, though, any questions from that? Of course they do. Well, first one being, is Damon starting to remember Elena on his own? It's so excited just to see these old Damon and Elena flashbacks, like the promo tease. But it's just interesting to see how they managed to cut them into what's happening in the present day the way they are. So I'm hoping that Damon is remembering Elena on his own. It just confirms the fact that Sybil didn't really cut Elena out of Damon's memories as efficiently as she thought. So there's that. Last question, though. If Bonnie becomes a vampire, what happens to Elena and her sleeping curse? Would that be considered a loophole? Because wasn't that ever considered when they first had to deal with the with trying to figure out how to break the sleeping curse? Or was it just never considered because Bonnie always refused the notion of being a vampire? I mean, she was so against it, and then after seeing what Elena went through after becoming a vampire, is that why it was never considered to turn Bonnie into a vampire? Or the fact that she is now willing to make that choice is why it's now being considered? Because we have to remember, I even went back to check the rules that Kai stated for the sleeping curse, which was stated in episode 612 in a video recording, and he said, and I quote, I linked Elena's life to yours. This rule is, as long as you're alive, Elena will remain asleep. And oh, please don't go looking for some weird witchy workaround, because as the incredibly powerful leader of the Geminis, I rigged this so that if you do try to outsmart it, both you and Elena will die instantly. I guess what I'm trying to say is your betrayal really hurt me, Bon. So this is kind of all your fault. So with Kai's words, it kind of makes sense. Or it kind of has me wondering if he ever considered a vampire loophole as being a workaround, in hopes that maybe Kai didn't, because he thinks that Bonnie refused to work with vampires. She has such a hatred towards them that she would never want to be one. So I'm hoping the vampire thing works out for Bonnie. That way we get both Elena and Bonnie together. But then that also means that Bonnie would lose her magic, which I guess she kind of doesn't have. But I guess we're going to have to wait and see for that. I just like the promise that it gives us for sure. But what do you guys think of the episode? What do you guys like about it? What do you think is going to happen next? We only have 8 more episodes left, I believe, until the show is over. But let me know in the comments down below about what you think about it. I'd love to hear about it. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. Also, if you want, check out my Tumblr page. The link for that is down below. I reblog promos, web clips, quotes, GIFs, all of that good stuff as best I can. Also, it's connected to my WordPress account, which you can find the link down below there. That links you to everything that I post. Also, check out my live journal entry account. The link for that entry is down below, and that gives you a recapped play-by-play of what happened in the episode. Also, it includes any of my in-moment thoughts as I watched the episode for the first time, any quotes that I picked up on, and some GIFs that I managed to find through Tumblr. I kind of repost them there to kind of show you along of what happened and stuff, though. Can't make GIFs just yet. But you can always check out that entry there as well if you want. But that's about it, guys. So thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you come back next week to see what I have to say about the next episode. But until then, guys, this is Mel. Wish you all a great day, great week, wherever you are. Have a good day. Bye.